All right, so we're here today to talk about financial wellness as it pertains to consumer debt and building our youth's knowledge on having successful financial wellness. Would it surprise you guys to know that a survey completed by FINRA in 2008, they gave 5 basic financial literacy questions to consumers across the board, and out of that, they only had 2.88 correct answers as a national average. Kind of interesting, right? It kind of makes you think, 5 basic financial questions, what in the world is going on? So as we dug a little bit deeper, I looked at it and I said, well, what is causing this? Why are we having problems? So we look at the financial crisis we've been in, right? So we see, well, there's a lack of education for those individuals because it's not offered in the school systems. And then we look at legislation who is just now, as some of you know, coming up in this little game and saying, hey, we've got to fix this as we go forward. And then we talk about what is our partnership in that? What do we do as financial leaders to better that education among our youth? So we're going to start with how it's impacted consumer debt. When we look at this, we say about 59% of people do not have a rainy day fund. That's from 2014. They did not have a rainy day fund, so they turned to credit cards. What that means is that's their emergency fund, so now their debt is escalating. National average as of 2014 for credit card debt was $15,000, just slightly above it, with $860 billion in credit card debt across the nation. The median income in 2014 for household was $53,000. So as financial leaders, we know if we start doing the math, that's a 28% unsecured debt ratio, which to us is danger. Right? So we know that they're turned into these credit cards. We know that they don't know how to get out of it because they've never been provided the education. So in another survey done by the National Consumer Credit Counseling and MSN, they found that parents are 69% less likely to have the talk of investing. They're less comfortable with it than they are having a sex talk. Kind of interesting. Both can have lasting impacts, but they're not having those conversations. So we don't have parents having the conversations. We don't have school systems having the conversations. And as financial leaders, we're not getting them until they're 18, 19, sometimes mid-20s. So that brings us to how legislation is getting involved. In 2003, this started. We have 7 states. Washington is not there yet, but we had 7 states starting in 2003 that adopted formal and non-formal training programs into their education system. It varied from what grade levels that they did it with, but there was one that actually did it K through 12. They started it was formal and it was K through 12, and that was Georgia. And they were one of the first ones. What FINRA has found is that because of that formalized education in the school system, they've seen an increase, it's just slight, but seen an increase in their credit score across the state and a decrease in 90-day delinquency. So we look at that and we know that education will help do that, because if the kids are coming home and talking to the parents are starting to learn, they're reading that philosophy, everybody's more bought in. So Washington State was a little bit behind. We're in 2015. They just passed Bill 5202, and what that is it's a mandated training education into the school system of financial literacy. What it looks like as of today, we don't know because we're still building that. What we do know is that they are requiring that all schools in Washington have mandated training. Right now it's at least 90 hours. So we'll see Washington start to increase with that financial legislation. So now we have to look at what is our piece in that. As financial leaders, as a great organization in this community, we have a part in helping build financial literacy as well. So part of that is allowing and partnering with our educators to train them, because some teachers in surveys say they're not comfortable training at financial literacy. They don't understand it themselves. So we, as the experts in that area, can help in training them so that they can deliver that message to their group of youth. Then we can move into what do we do with our personal and our professional time. So it's awesome to work with the educators to build content to help them, get to that 90 hours, but we have a responsibility as educators to volunteer our personal and professional time in educating these folks. whether that be when they're here coming into a branch to open a new car, a loan, a checking account, or that be that we're out doing our personal volunteerism in those school systems. Educating our youth is going to be extremely important. So when we look at this as a whole, we see the transgression. The debt crisis that we've been in over the last several years has obviously brought awareness from many different levels. And we know we need to take action on it, and we're taking those steps. So as we progress, we will want to make sure that we are working with those financial partners, that we are doing our part, but that we're educating our own staff here at the credit union on what financial literacy is. So it's a multiple step process in getting youth to help see our credit delinquencies and our credit scores, and basically consumer financial wellness go up and those delinquencies go down. So my challenge to each of you is, remember that if we invest our time in youth and invest our knowledge in the youth, we will create long-lasting relationships and really great wellness throughout their life.